legislative action among parties in the international trade of hazardous chemicals. And this is done by facilitating information exchange about these chemicals and providing a national decision-making process for the import and export of these chemicals, and this information is shared among all parties. Chemical Review Committee, which is the scientific subsidiary of the convention, met at its 9th meeting between the 22nd and 24th of October in Rome. And the very first chemical that was considered was trichlorophon. This chemical was reviewed at the 8th meeting of the Chemical Review Committee last year, and the committee took a decision to recommend to the Conference of the Parties that it considers listing trichlorophon in Annex 3. As the normal part of the process, based on that recommendation, the Chemical Review Committee then intersessionally prepared a decision guidance document which would accompany the recommendation and provide information from the notification on this chemical for use by parties. So at this meeting, the Chemical Review Committee adopted the draft decision guidance document for trichlorophon. So the recommendation for listing and the draft decision guidance document is now presented to the Conference of the Parties at its 7th meeting in May 2015, where the conference will take a decision on whether to list trichlorophon in Annex 3, and concomitantly will take a decision to adopt and accept the decision guidance document for that chemical. Thirdly, we have methamidopus. This chemical was proposed through notifications from the EU and Brazil, and the Chemical Review Committee concluded that both notifications met the criteria in Annex 2. Just to remind you that the Chemical Review Committee considers notifications coming from 2 different PIC regions of the globe that satisfy Annex 1 of the convention. So it recommended that methamidopus be listed in Annex 3 of the convention. That is recommendation to the Conference of the Parties. As normal, it has also established an intersessional drafting group to prepare a decision guidance document on methamidopus. This will be considered at the next meeting of the Chemical Review Committee in 2014, where if the decision guidance document is accepted, it will go along with the recommendation to the Conference of the Parties at its 7th meeting in 2015 for a decision on listing methamidopus in Annex 3 of the Convention. We turn our attention to severely hazardous pesticide formulation. Fenthion ULB with a maximum of 640 grams per liter concentration. This proposal was put forward by Chad, and the Chemical Review Committee concluded that the proposal met the criteria in Part 3 of Annex 4 of the Convention, and subsequently recommended to the Conference of the Parties that it considered listing this hazardous formulation in Annex 3 of the Convention. Additionally, again, it has established an intersessional drafting group to prepare a decision guidance document which will be considered at the 10th meeting of the Chemical Review Committee. Thereafter, both the DGD and the recommendation for listing will be handed to the Conference of the Parties at its meeting in 2015. ARSNet also considered. We had 2 notifications from Japan and Peru. The notification from Peru met all the criteria in Annex 2, but the notification from Japan did not. As only a single notification met all the criteria, no further action is taken on lead ARSNet at this time, and the Chemical Review Committee will await another notification that meets the criteria, the information requirements of Annex 1, and then it will see if we can establish another notification that meets the criteria in Annex 2 coming from a separate region than that of Peru. 3 other chemicals were also considered: dihexazine, a pesticide, lead carbonate, an industrial chemical, and pentachlorobenzene, which was carried forward from a previous meeting of the Conference of the Parties. Of the Chemical Review Committee, sorry. And none of these chemicals met all the criteria in Annex 2. Pentachlorobenzene, in fact, had a notification from Japan, and Japan provided further supporting documentation, which was looked at by the Chemical Review Committee, but found that still this notification did not meet the criteria of Annex 2 of the Convention. So, no further action is taken on these 3 chemicals. That wraps up the substantive work of the Chemical Review Committee. If we now turn our attention to the joint meeting of the POPRC and CRC, it was held on 20th of October in 2013 in Rome, and both committees considered the mandate and review processes under POPRC and CRC, and also the requests that came from the omnibus decision of the simultaneous meetings of the 2 conferences of the parties regarding the alignment of working arrangements of the 2 subsidiary bodies, scientific information exchange relating to review of chemicals by the 2 bodies, looking at further steps that could be established to enhance the cooperation and coordination between the 2 bodies, and considered how they could establish guidance to assist parties to both conventions when a chemical is being considered for listing as a POP. In terms of the meeting, the committee improved their understanding of the mandates and processes of each other. For instance, the POPRC will now consider looking at doing a preliminary review on proposals that are put forward before it, in a similar vein to what is done by CRC in preparing a preliminary review on the notifications that are presented on a particular chemical. It was agreed that even though the processes differed, sharing of information from both processes would enhance the work of each of the subsidiary bodies. The 2 committees agreed that there could be information exchange on impurities, transformation products, isomers, articles in use, and mixtures arising from chemicals that are presented, especially for the POPRC, and how it could impact on the work of the Chemical Review Committee. Finally, the GHS classification was considered, and its limitations, whereby it's only established by hazard and not in terms of a chemical being a persistent organic pollutant. It was agreed that technical documents could be shared between the two committees, documents that are prepared by the POPRC, for instance, the profile, by the Chemical Review Committee, prepares decision guidance documents, and any information on alternatives between the two committees, such information would be found useful between them. The Chemical Review Committee has put in place a process for bridging information where one country may consider information, especially a risk evaluation that's done by one country that has similar local conditions to another country, that bridging information, that information could be bridged to a second country, and it felt that this information could be useful across both subsidiary bodies. It was also agreed that it would be very useful for a debriefing exercise to be undertaken by, in general, the Secretariat and other key members of a committee to inform the second committee as to the results of the work of the committee. So if the POPRC, for instance, had its first meeting, there's a debriefing exercise before the Chemical Review Committee meeting, so that the Chemical Review Committee would be aware of the results of the first meeting. Finally, as we're doing now, it was considered very useful to hold webinars for the committee members or the official representatives of the parties of the convention, and to all interested persons on the results of the two subsidiary bodies and their meetings. A joint intersessional working group was also established to prepare the guidance to assist parties in the Rotterdam Convention and particularly the Chemical Review Committee in their work when a chemical under consideration is already listed as a persistent organic pollutant under the Stockholm Convention. So these are the outcomes of the synergy meeting that was held between the two subcommittees. I take the opportunity to thank you on behalf of Gamini for your attention, and we are very happy to try to answer any questions that you may have on the presentations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Gamini. We will leave you a few seconds to pose your questions if you have any. We invite you to send your questions via chat. If you don't have a microphone, and we will read your questions loudly.
Yeah, hello, this is Philippe Chaton, and I have a question concerning the review for DICOFOR. So I understand that the discussion will continue on the next POPRC. My question is, the due date be considered at next. My understanding or my feeling was that India was pushing to get more data included in the data package, while the POPRC was more of the data package would not be upgraded with additional information. So I don't know whether to clarify that particular item.
So this is Kamini. Thank you for the question. There was a little interruption in the audio, and perhaps I may not heard it exactly what you wanted. But anyway, I will try to rather respond to your question, and if it's not, please come back. Yes, this dicofol will be considered at the next POPRC. And information can be provided by parties if they have additional information related to NXT criteria. Then the POPRC will consider along with the other information that was made available to the proposal. So it is open at the moment, and parties can provide additional information if necessary. Hope that clears what you wanted to clarify.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you did respond to my question.
I take a few minutes. I would like to thank Marcus Nauta, who sent all the participants his affiliation that we mentioned before. Is Stockholm Convention focal point for St. Kitts and Nevis in Eastern Caribbean, and the SARS Research Manager in St. Kitts and Nevis Bureau of Standards. Thank you. I would like to ask Paul to introduce the dates of the next meetings of the POPRC and CRC.
Thank you. Thank you, Francesca. First, I'll start with the Chemical Review Committee. Its next meeting will be in Rome on between the 20th to the 24th of October 2014. This, I think, is still a tentative meeting, date to be confirmed. We did have a selection of chair and vice chairs for the CRC, and the selection was done by the bureau and accepted by the committee, but it still has to be confirmed and approved by the Conference of the Parties at its next meeting in 2015. The chair selected is Dr. Jürgen Helbig from Spain. The vice chairs are Ms. Amal Al-Rashdad from Kuwait, Mr. Gilberto Filman from Brazil, Ms. Magdalena Citric from Poland, and Mr. Boniface Mbere from Zambia. With regards to the Persistent Organic Pollutant Review Committee, its next meeting, its 10th meeting, will be between the 27th and 31st of October 2014, and you can see there will be another back-to-back meeting between these two committees in 2014. The chair, we have a new chair for the POPRC. It's Ms. Estefania Moreira from Brazil, and she has taken over from Dr. Rainer Art from Germany, who has been the long-standing chair of POPRC for many years. And we certainly thank Dr. Art for his very successful chairing of the committee over all these years. And the vice chair, the new selected vice chair is Mr. Azari Abdel Bashi from Sudan. And again, these selected persons will have to be confirmed by the conference of the parties. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul, for introducing the dates of the next meeting of the POPRC and the CRC. We would like to give you a few seconds to pose other questions if you have any. And in the meantime, we will transfer the presentation. So you will have a window now that appears on your screen. You have to select the file, and then you have to click on download to download the presentation. We wait a few seconds to allow you to download the presentation. I hope this works for everyone. In case you have any trouble downloading, we will also send the presentation by email with the evaluation form to all participants shortly after the session ends. We would like to ask you to fill in the form, at least with a comment or suggestion for improvement. And we thank you in advance for your feedback through this evaluation form. I don't see any other questions, so I will now close the session. I thank you very much for your participation, and we look forward to welcoming you to other webinars. This webinar in particular will be repeated at 4 o'clock on Thursday, 21st November, if you wish to follow the same presentation. Thank you again for your participation and your questions. We wish to see you again soon. Bye-bye.